Are you ready to get into another trial? I hope so, because tomorrow morning, which is Monday, May 18th, we will hear the opening statements in the murder trial of Larry Millete. Now, I want to thank my friend Evidence and Espresso who turned me on to this. I remember hearing about it, but it has been 5 years. That's how long it has taken this case to get to trial. Larry Millete is going to be on trial for killing his wife, Maya. Now, Maya went missing in January of 2021, and she's never been heard from again. In fact, they've never recovered a body. So this one is going to be tricky, but there's a lot of crazy shit Larry was doing, and I don't know. I don't think they would have charged him with the murder if they didn't feel like they had him. As usual, I have a whole notebook full of notes, so let me just give you a quick rundown. This entire thing goes back to January 6th of 2021. She was telling friends that she was considering divorcing Larry. So already we're starting out with the divorce motive. He doesn't want to be divorced, but she does. There's troubles in the marriage. It is reported on January 7th, that night, that they had some sort of argument in the home. The last communication anybody received from Maya was at 8:15 p.m. on January 7th, and then her phone activity completely stopped at 1:25 a.m. Now, on January 8th, Larry is absent from work, and he doesn't call anybody or tell anybody he's not coming in. So at some point during the day, his dad and his boss are getting nervous. They're both trying to get a hold of Larry. Larry, according to his story, left the house at 6:45 a.m. and took their 4-year-old son to Solano Beach. But he didn't return until after 6 p.m., which is a damn long time to have a 4-year-old at the beach. Anyway, but Larry's alibi is basically he wasn't home all day, so he has no idea where Maya is or what happened with Maya. Maya's brother comes over the evening of the 8th because they have not heard from Maya since last night, and they're all getting really worried. So he comes to the house. He's told Maya's fine. We think she's in her room. She's napping. She's been in there all day. She must not feel good. Larry's kind of like, hey, I haven't been here. I don't know what's going on. But the kids are telling the brother, oh, she's in her room. Okay. The brother goes and knocks on the door, and there's no answer. So he leaves. I'll be talking about this later, too. I'm trying to just give the facts, and it's really hard because I want to have some strong opinions. On January 9th, they still don't hear from Maya. So her sister finally, the night of January 9th, so it's 11:50 p.m. when the sister finally reports Maya missing. So the last anybody spoke with her, it was the night of the 7th. It is now the night of the 9th. They're reporting her missing. Now at this point, her car is there, her wallet's there, her phone's there. So they just kind of assume maybe she went for a walk or hike and maybe got lost, maybe she's missing. So they start doing a whole missing person thing. They start doing searches of local neighborhoods. They start doing all of this stuff. But they find out Larry's been doing some weird shit. A search of Larry's emails shows that he has hundreds of emails to spellcasters. Essentially what he's trying to do is he's trying to get a hold of these people to cast spells on Maya. First, he starts by saying like he wants Maya to fall back in love with him. He also tries to have one like, can you just cast a spell to make her not want a divorce? And then he's thinking maybe if she had to stay. So then there's spells, he's requesting spells that are like, can she be injured? Can she get sick? Can she be incapacitated in some way so that she's reliant on Larry and she has to stay? You know, I've covered plenty of trials on here, and how many times have I got to say, you don't Google, you don't email, like your digital footprint will give you away every single time. What's interesting is that there's hundreds of these emails, but then they stop once Maya goes missing. That's weird. Now, this continues to be treated as a missing persons situation all through the spring and into the summer of 2021. There's volunteers that are constantly, they're searching all the local hiking trails, they're searching parks, they're going down to the reservoir, they're going every place looking for places where Maya could have been. Larry in the beginning is cooperating with police, but at some point he feels like they're starting to suspect him. So he's catching on that they're catching on. On April 7th, the police give a public update. There have been 47 interviews conducted and 12 search warrants issued. And they have, yes, the home, the vehicle, the cells, all the devices, the financial records, social sites, cloud, everything. On April 11th, they receive from a neighbor an audio recording. So from their surveillance system, they have an audio recording of the night of January 7th. And what you hear is you hear several loud bangs, which the police think might be gunshots. And then around 10 p.m. at night, which is pretty late, the little kids were out playing in the yard, which seemed very unusual. And there's audio recordings of that. The police are now really getting into this. By May 4th, there's now 56 interviews, 23 total search warrants, and 55 tips have been reviewed. And people are calling in being like, I think I saw her in Montana. Like, they're getting all kinds of tips and they're trying to run them all down. In May, the police conduct a lengthy search of the home and they've discovered Larry likes guns. By July 21st, Larry is finally named a person of interest in the disappearance of Maya. By now, they have done 68 total interviews, 50 total search warrants, and they've run down over 100 tips. On July 26th, some documents are unsealed, and we discover that there has been a gun violence restraining order issued against Larry because of some pictures. There were pictures of 16 different guns, I'm reading from notes, including 2 illegal assault weapons, 3 pump shotguns, a rifle with a scope, and 5 handguns laid out on a table, and then his 4-year-old son was standing next to them in a photo. By October 19th, Larry is arrested on suspicion of murder in the disappearance of his wife, Maya. He is arrested at 11:42 a.m., home alone. He goes without any disturbance. On October 21st of 2021, Larry appeared in court for the first time. The judge limits his phone use. Apparently, he'd already made 129 phone calls from prison. And so they said you can only call your lawyer. You can no longer call your kids, none of that. On November 4th, bail is denied. And then what happens between November 4th of 2021 and tomorrow has been a colossal delay, one thing after another after another. First, Larry claimed that he was not fit to go on trial, so they had to bring the psychologist in, they had to do all of this, and the state had to prove that he was fit for trial. Then there were delays for, I guess, budgeting reasons. So finally, last week, May 11th, 2026, jury selection begins. They start with a pool. There was like 270 that were originally sent the questionnaire, but they narrowed the pool down to 139. Within just 2 days, they were able to seat a jury. It contains 7 women, 5 men, and then there are 6 alternates. There are 3 men, 3 women as alternates. The case is expected to last 3 months, and it starts Monday, the 19th. It is not televised. So we're gonna have to rely on all the reporters in the room, but apparently it's a hot ticket because they have added a second courtroom for overflow for all the people that wanted to be there. So get ready. The trial of Larry Millete starts tomorrow. I'm gonna try and bring you the coverage the best I can. Keep coming back. This one should be good.